Hello, good evening. Welcome to Everyday Mental Health. I'm Don Ridenour. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. And for the next hour or so, we will discuss whatever questions you have, whatever topics related to mental health you want to ask about or describe or give your opinion about. Happy to have some conversations. Of course, be respectful, and we'll see where it goes. And just 1 second, because I want to post on Facebook that I'm now live. Let's see. I don't know about the rest of you, but I really struggle with the new business page stuff. I find it very difficult. So anyway. So just throw this out there. I'm not a good multitasker, am I? Well, all right, just about got it here. There we go. Okay, I'm with you now. So I have had another interesting week since last week with various issues. Seeing 5 to 7 people a day, 3 days a week. So that's an interesting range of people and problems. So it's always quite interesting. And several more people reporting success, that their life is improving greatly, and that they have done the hard work of putting suggestions into effect and accepting the changes in perspective I've offered them. And so they have done well. And one in particular I want to talk about, because the strategy she was successful with is so helpful in procrastination. It's helpful in anxiety, which really is a form of what procrastination is, a sort of anxiety. It is anxiety. And it's also helpful in depression. Anytime people just feel so down, they really can't get anything done. And so she had gotten depressed and then was really struggling to pull herself back out of it, which is really difficult in depression. Usually can't be done that way. So her family doc prescribed a mild or a low dose of antidepressant, and then she also came to see me. The particular technique, after talking with her a while, was, look, you don't have to do the whole house at once. You do not have to clean everything at once. You don't have to clean the whole bathroom at once. You don't have to do all the laundry at once. You don't have to do anything all at once. All you really have to do to have some success is just to do one thing and do that one part. And then if you feel like doing a little more, do it. And when you get tired, when your time that you've got available to work on it is up, then stop and enjoy that success. And so this particular client, her example was that she needed to clean up the kid's bathroom. And it was just overwhelming to think about doing the whole bathroom. She bought new shower curtain, new rugs, probably some other stuff I don't recall, several months ago, and had just never gotten herself to do anything about it. So she got home from work, I went through the dinner and everything, and then that's her usual time to do a little bit of something. Well, I take it back. It was on a weekend day. So she wasn't at work that day because, as all you working mothers know, there is no time to do projects on work days. If you get home from work, by the time everyone has dinner and it gets cleaned up and homework's done and activities are over, it's at least already time to go to bed, if not after. And so there's just no time to do extra projects, typically in the evening. Always there's another load of laundry that gets done, that sort of thing, but no major projects. So this was a weekend. She sat down, thought, I really need to go do that bathroom. Got up, looked at the bathroom, said, I can't do this. That's too much. Sat back down. Said, nope, I can do one thing. I can clean the mirror. And she got up, went back in, got the glass cleaner and paper towel or cloth, whatever she uses, and cleaned the mirror. Success. And then she thought, well, I can clean the tub. I'm already in here cleaning. So she cleaned the tub. And then she cleaned the toilet. She felt really good about that. That was all the time she had. She was tired. It was time to go to bed. So she did. Feeling good about what she had accomplished. Next day, she thought, well, I just need to move the litter box downstairs, and then I can sweep and mop the floor. And she did. And then she got the new shower curtain out, took the old one down, put up the new one, put the rugs down, maybe a few other things. Boom. Bathroom's done. She never had to do the whole bathroom. She just had to do one piece at a time. A mirror was enough. She cleaned the mirror, felt good about that. It reinforced her positive feelings, which gave her energy. So she did the tub and she did the toilet. And then she felt good about going to bed and getting up the next day. And gosh, the bathroom's half done. I just have to clean the floor. And so she cleaned the floor. And then it was fun to put up the new stuff, right? That's the part we always like. And so then she could do that. Now the whole bathroom's done. So the whole bathroom's done, but she never had to do the whole bathroom. And now her self-confidence is gaining. That was obvious in seeing her today. And she reported it was improving, and that, in fact, she thinks she's got this now and can go on and function the way she wants to in her life. And so we ended therapy with the caveat I always give, which is that if you need to come back, want to come back, feel free to call, and I'll see you then. And I hope I never see you again. And but you're always welcome, kind of a thing. So I thought that was really important. And as I reminded her, you never have to do a big job as long as you do several little ones. And I think that's actually pretty profound. It works on reports for school, reports at work, big projects. You never can do the whole thing at once. It's just not possible. And so to think of doing the whole thing at once is a mistake and an error in thinking. And so what you do is you look at what is the whole job? What is the outcome? In her case, it was the outcome she wanted was the whole bathroom to be clean with the new shower curtain and rugs. And so it became just a matter of breaking down the project. And what is a first step? Well, a first step could have been a lot of different things, but the one that she picked, clean the mirror, that was a great first step. The mirror is a particular size, shape. When you clean it, you know you've cleaned it and it looks better. And you have succeeded in taking the first step. And that gives you energy and power to do a second step. So breaking down any task into small bite-sized segments, if you will, is the way to tackle any project that has you feeling anxious or overwhelmed, like you can't do it. So be sure that as soon as you start to feel those feelings of being overwhelmed by a project or it's just too much, you just don't have the energy for it, you're thinking too big. You're thinking too big a task. Break it down to one small thing that you can do, and do that. And then feel how you feel. And if you want to continue and do a little bit more, great. If you don't, that's okay, because you were only going to do that one thing. And then next time you have some time, do one more thing. So now some skeptics would say, yeah, but the mirror will be dirty by the time I get around to doing the tub and the toilet. Yeah, well, it might be. And so the next one thing could be do the mirror again, and then do the tub, and so on. And so you move ahead. And if you have to redo a step, you redo a step. That's just life. It's not a killer. It's not the ultimate roadblock. It's just doing that step again. So that's a key to not being overwhelmed by it. So an important one. It's helped a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Another strategy is to think about a different way of tackling it. Maybe the particular way you were going to do it is overwhelming. And so as you think about breaking it down and what is really holding you back, maybe you're trying to use the wrong tools. Maybe you're trying to do too much. An example would be someone who really was struggling in school to write papers. They just have a really difficult time in ever writing anything. And after talking about that problem and asking them what their most recent paper is about, and them standing there and telling me essentially the whole paper, I suggested that the problem wasn't that they didn't know the work, that they didn't know what to do. The problem simply was writing. And so don't write. I suggested that he turn his phone on that he put it on, set up a recorded note or record in some way that, and then tell it exactly what he told me. And then he could use speech to text to get a transcription, which he could print out and edit if he needed to, or edit it and then print it out, and he would have it, and he never had to write. And that worked for him, and it made a huge difference. So he was just simply using the wrong tool, the wrong mode for what was comfortable for him. And so sometimes it's that. An example for me is I was going to wire in a new fan and ceiling light into a bedroom that did not have a fixture in the center of the room. And I was trying to decide how to wire it and what controls I wanted at the wall and what ones were okay with being on the fan. Now, it's a thing of mine. I like to be able to walk to a room, flip on a switch, and have a light come on. I don't like to go into the room and fumble around looking for a light switch. And so I knew I wanted the light on the wall, the light switch on the wall. The fan switch, that was not a big thing for me. The chains hang down in a bedroom. They're easy to pull. And so there's no real reason to go ahead and wire the fan switch to the wall, because it's just off and on, and you have to, I could have done a fancy one that would control the speeds too, but that was really getting carried away with what this project really was. So I decided there was no reason to have a switch on the wall for the fan, because you're going to use the chain to adjust the speeds anyway. But I caught myself doing sketches of the wiring so I would know what I was doing when I got up in the attic. Not a fun place to be. Didn't want to be there a long time. Wanted to know what I was doing when I got up there. But I made the drawing way too complicated, and it very much complicated what I was going to be doing and how long it would take. And so watching a couple of ways other people do it on YouTube was helpful. And then also I realized I was making a mistake about where the power was coming from, and adding an extra box in the attic and then running extra wire up and down to the fan and back that didn't need to go to even go into the box with the switch, and it didn't need to be using the same wire. I just used 2 separate wires instead of using a 3-wire cable. So, all those kind of details. I just way overthought it. So I simplified the whole thing down, did it the easy way, and now it's all wired. So sometimes you have to step back and say, is this really the simplest way to do this? And what is the project worth? I've worked with students before who go, and I'll ask them, they're real hung up on something, and I'll say, what kind of grade do you get on that? What percentage of your overall grade is it? And they'll say, well, all of these things together, like their daily journal entries, all those things together are 10% of their grade. Okay, so what happens if you miss 2 or 3? Well, I'll probably get some points off. Okay, so you're going to get some points off on 10% of your grade. How are your grades on the things that are big, like the tests and all that, and the projects? The big projects, are you doing okay on those? Well, yeah, I'm doing okay on those. Okay, well, teachers won't like to hear this. I said, sure. So what? So you missed a couple of journal entries, a few journal entries. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. So don't stress over it. Do all of them. Kids are so busy now that, they sometimes they just can't get every single thing done that they're involved in. And so they have to learn to prioritize. And I think that's an important life skill anyway. So be smart about it. Focus on the high payoff items. And if you have to, let the low payoff items slide. And that's just a good strategy for life. So I've seen that kind of change in thinking help people too. So feel free to put any comments, questions you'd like answered, discussions you'd like to be part of, anything like that. Put it on there, and we'll see where it goes. I'm thinking back through people I've seen over the last few weeks or so to see if there are any kind of interesting situations that techniques that can apply to a range of people. And I'm not an addictions counselor, and so I don't do direct addictions work, but I often do supportive work with people who have been addicted to something and who are in recovery to help them work out some of the other issues that they've either developed due to the addiction or that were there typically before the addiction and fed into the addiction. So one of the real issues that all the people in addiction know about is people that really don't have a support system. And sometimes there's such family issues that the addict has lost all contact with family members, they have no friends left, and so they have nobody. And this is kind of an interesting issue. Usually support groups, AA, NA, all those are where people get their support. But a guy was telling me recently that he found all of those meetings tremendously triggering for him. And in fact, every time he left a meeting, he stopped immediately at a liquor store before he went home, because all the stories about alcohol and the things that people had done just brought back his cravings and how much he really wanted to drink. And so part of his recovery is not to go to meetings, but that leaves him without a good support network. So that's kind of an issue that I'm kind of grappling with right now, is how do I help this guy build a support network of people who care about him, but aren't totally focused on and talking about alcohol all the time. And so I don't have a good answer for that. So if any of you have some ideas about that and want to comment on it, that would be great. He's staying sober, but of course, it's a struggle every day. And the way you win that struggle is to stay so focused on why you want to be sober that you're willing to endure the discomfort, the pain, and the cravings, the physical withdrawal symptoms, all of that. In his particular case, happens to be a son. And so that's why he's doing it. He wants a life with his son. He wants a life with the profession he's in. And those two things, but mostly the son, are worth being in agony all day long, every day. Knowing full well that the only thing that'll stop it is the one thing that will destroy his life. And so it's very difficult, and he really needs some support. And I'm sort of, as I said, I don't have a ready answer for that. I am going to put him in touch with a guy who's very experienced with that, to see if he has any ideas about how maybe certain groups could be useful that aren't totally focused on substances and stories about substances. I guess that's part of being a therapist. You don't always know the answer. And we try to have a wide array of techniques, tools, ideas, perspectives, that we can adapt to pretty much every situation, but sometimes it's really difficult to help somebody discover the resources they might have around them. One of the first times I ran into that was when I was actually at Family Service Association in Kokomo as director. And we were, I think it was one of the therapists as seeing a family, and then I ended up talking to the father. But the parents both had jobs, and the mom got home first, and she didn't get home till 5:30, 5:45. This boy, who was 10, I think, somewhere around there, got out of school every day about 3 o'clock. So he had 2.5 hours that he was not allowed outside of the house, while all of his friends were out playing in the neighborhood. And so he was getting in trouble because he was leaving, and they didn't know what to do about it. Occasionally, his grandpa could come over and spend time with him after school until mom got home. But that was really a tough one. I mean, what do you do? As a parent, you have to tell them not to leave the house. As a parent, you have to work. And they were making minimum wage jobs, and so they were doing the best they could, but they had to work. There was no place for him to go at that time in his neighborhood. There was no kind of after-school programs. Now there's a couple of really good ones, and so he could be part of Bridges, or maybe in Kokomo, or he could be part of Urban Outreach on some days. So there are some options now, but there weren't then. And I ended up actually testifying about that in front of a House committee at the Indiana State Legislature because of the lack of resources that would help. And that was at a time when there was a push to get some after-school support for low-income families. And there just weren't any. So that was one of the times when you run into that situation where there's just no ready answer, and you end up needing a system change or a societal change. And so that's when we often can get into some activism, which is an important part of being a mental health professional. And of course, some, like social work, really focuses on that. So it's just kind of an interesting thing when you occasionally run into those situations where you really just don't have an answer for, and you can see where it's a need that society needs to meet. Now, in this guy's case, addiction, I don't know. We now have some new addictions treatment programs, but to my knowledge, we don't have any new halfway houses, and we don't have any new sober living houses. We don't have any new or any drop-in centers, anything like that, where a guy could go and just hang out and be with people. So, well, although I'm not even sure that would work, because this guy does work. And so he works quite a ways from his home, and he does intense work too. So just some ideas about that. If you have any comments about it, I would appreciate hearing them and sharing them. Okay. Well, as is not unusual for me, at the end of the day, I'm kind of talked out. After you do 7 hours of a lot of talking and therapy, a lot, as well as a lot of listening, but people don't come just to have a good listener. People come to get ideas. Now, you have to be a good listener, obviously, because if you can't tailor something to that individual, you are not going to help them. They can get that out of a workbook off of Amazon. Therapist's job is to tailor it, is to understand the person, their situation, and tailor the solution, if you will, to their situation, their way of thinking, their way of acting, where they are in life, and helping them move forward. And so that takes a lot of conversation back and forth. And so by the end of the day, I'm pretty worn out from talking back and forth. So I'm going to let this be a little short tonight, and I will pick it up again next week. I'm going to do 2 more of these, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So thank you, anyone who watches this after the live view. Obviously, these videos are posted on YouTube on my channel, and they're available, well, pretty much forever. So if you're looking at it later and you have some comments, feel free to put them in there, and then I will try to look back at them the next week and see if there are any new comments, and I'll address those. I'm not seeing any from last week's that I haven't already addressed. Let me just double check here to make sure I haven't missed something. Yeah, the only 2 comments I got were someone said she could relate to that, and someone said thank you for doing these sessions. So somebody got some value out of it, and that's what I'm looking for. Let me just double check see if I've missed any from before. No, it doesn't look like it. So that we talked about either during the live stream or I've already addressed them. So that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.